You're listening to LusoCanada Podcast, writing history together.
Bem-vindos a mais um episódio do LusoCanada Podcast. Hoje tenho dois convidados especiais comigo, o David Silva e o Rocha, que são da Portuguese Ball Hockey Association, e vamos conhecer um pouco melhor a organização falando com eles hoje. Muito obrigado por terem aceito o convite.
No problem, thank you.
All right, so now we'll switch to English, and I'd like to ask you to start off to explain to us what ball hockey is.
Okay, so ball hockey, living in Canada, you've obviously know what hockey is, ice hockey, so same idea. As children, your first introduction is to play it out on the street. You buy sticks, a little ball, you play it on the road, and that's essentially what it is. So it's ball hockey is ice hockey with a ball instead. You're obviously not on skates, and when you're growing up, you can't afford skates and all those other costs, so you play on the street. As it turns out, that street game eventually started moving into arenas and has now become this world event with the ISBHF. You've got Canadian championships, provincials, league play. I think in Ontario, regular league play in the summer, something like 1,500 teams every year. So that's kind of been what it's at. It started off as a game on the streets with kids and your friends, eventually progressed into organizations and now into things like world championships. So that's how it starts.
That's an amazing leap from an idea to something.
Yeah, and the ultimate goal is to take that even further. Like from our perspective, we'd love to see it become an Olympic sport. We'd love to see it go back home to Portugal and be able to introduce it there so they can grow. Like we've seen their success in roller hockey being a world champion. We've seen their success in soccer and all the passion that you see. So we think that Portuguese people in general will have that same passion regardless of what that sport is, because there's that pride of being Portuguese, of being that small country that is able to go onto the world stage and perform, and that's kind of what we carry with us throughout that process.
Beautiful. So David, you are the current president?
No, actually Danny's the
Danny
president.
is the president, and you're the VP.
The vice president, yeah.
So Danny Rocha is the president, David is the VP. So I know you guys were not founders of the organization,
right.
but it started in 2004, and I'd just like to ask you to let's go back a little 2004 and just talk a little bit about what you know about the foundation of the PBHA.
Yeah, no, it was founded in 2004, like you just mentioned. It was pretty active all the way till 2018, and from that point it kind of was inactive due to unforeseen circumstances and the way the committee was operated. And then therefore in 2023 we came about, and it's been full throttle ever since.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So how do you know how your association with the Portuguese Federação Portuguesa de Hockey, how did that come about?
So to become part of the ISBHF, so again, the kids that went into leagues and so forth start to realize that there's a world championship, wanted to find out how you can have a Portugal team there. The ISBHF, which is our International Street Ball Hockey Federation, told us that you need to have authorization from your home country. So at the time, the leadership of an organization went into Portugal, reached out, got the federation in Portugal to give us the okay as being the representative. We took that to the ISBHF, and that allowed us to be a full-fledged member. So from that point on, we have to pay dues, we have to obviously become a non-profit and so forth, and that's how the beginnings started, and we started to compete. And then from that point on, it went all the way to 2018. We had a change in the organization with some of the people that had originally started ended up being poached by a different organization here in Canada, of course. But so we lost some focus for a little while. 2023, Danny resurrected it, went out and found all the players again, started the process, and then in 2024, I joined the federation, and we looked at what was happening and said we need to make it more of a professional organization, and we made a whole bunch of administrative changes, and ultimately that's kind of resulted in the big increase of growth that we've seen in the last year and a half.
I really want to focus on that, but before I want to just go back a little bit. I came to Canada, I was 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I never saw ball hockey being played in Portugal. So
yeah, of course not.
So you probably know more than I do about the game, even in Portugal. So I just wanted to ask you, because I guess people probably had this question as well: why Toronto, and how come you probably are the only association and the only national team that is not established in Portugal. So you're a national team outside of Portugal.
We're
can you talk to us?
No,
you're not the only one.
Okay. So there is Italy, Greece, Pakistan. There's a whole bunch of federations.
But for ball hockey, right?
For ball hockey, yeah.
Okay.
They're all based out of Toronto because ultimately we came to Canada and it's the national sport recognized here and played by millions of people. We took to it, and the Portuguese passion kicks in, and we want to do well. So that all adjusts to it. So we're not the only ones, but our goal ultimately is to get back and introduce the game to Portugal. We've had some small conversations and connections with the ice hockey group. FC Porto is out in HC Porto is in one of the teams that we've been chasing down to see if we can get some sort of connection and do some sort of a cross. We go there, visit, show them the game, let kids practice and play, bring some equipment and so on. That's the goal.
Okay. Ultimately, that's the goal, is to bring the sport to Portugal and introduce it there.
So I'm assuming then the sport is not being played in Portugal at this point.
Currently, it's not being played in Portugal, I know. That's our job, to get it over there.
Okay. How does it feel for you and your players who were born here, and then many of them never went to Portugal? How does it feel for them to wear the Portugal crest when they represent?
Personally, I think they take great pride. They're not just representing themselves, they're representing a country, and they're representing their parents and where their parents came from. So they want to share that experience and make them proud at the world stage, the world level.
Yeah, even though we're not necessarily in Portugal, or not everybody grew up in Portugal, you came here and you were in a Portuguese neighborhood, so there was that culture there. You went to church with your avós, your tias, and then everyone is in your neighborhood. So that same passion, you've seen it grow in other sports. Watching the growth of the seleção and how well it's done, it's created that pride, and that extends to everything that Portuguese people do. Like, we all came here as immigrants. We worked hard. Our parents worked hard. They were doing construction, they were doing cleaning, all of these things. Eventually they got their own businesses and their kids grow. So all that development is the same thing that we're going to carry pride-wise. Mm-hmm. And we know when we're wearing that crest that, there's and I compared this before because we've had these conversations, like there's the feeling of standing at the blue line, hearing the national anthem, knowing full well that it represents your family, your grandparents, all that stuff. It's a weird feeling because you're excited, and at the same time, you start thinking about it. Wow, all the effort they put into it, and here I am representing the country for them. So, love that.
It's definitely hard to explain when you're standing on that blue line and you're hearing that national anthem, for sure.
So you have that emotional tie with Portugal. I'm sure you have their support as well, their emotional support, and they're cheering on you. But is there any other? And I know you spoke of some connections that you're making in Portugal and some collaborations. But is there any support beyond that from Portugal at all?
Currently, no, we don't have that support financially, and nothing from the government or the sports ministry there. But that is our goal, to start building those communications and networking with them, and we'll make the steps into the right progress and get it over there.
Yeah, hopefully the federation, the government. I mean, you guys are representing Portugal.
In the last little while, we've seen ourselves, and I guess social media kind of helps out. Our performance in Bermuda really helped out. We've seen our social media channel really increase. We've seen connections increase. Like, a lot of the players that we had used to be based out of Toronto, but now we have players from Switzerland, we have players from the US, we've got players from around Canada, we're reaching out to kids in Manitoba and whatever, so it's all over the place. And even a couple of HC Porto players who happen to live in Montreal also reached out to us. So that connection is starting. Now it's just about taking that and finding the right leadership on that side that is willing to have the conversation, willing to say, hey, yeah, let's do an exhibition game. Let's have some fun with it.
Yeah. And as you guys, as the sport grows in Portugal, as you say, you wanted to implement the sport in Portugal. There'll be more visibility, and I'm sure that, and then the supports will probably come. Just naturally.
Ideally, we find players there, and those guys will be able to play, and they can go. And if we get to the stage we're an Olympic sport, because we're not the only country doing that. Italy's trying, Greece is trying, all those guys are trying. If we can get to the stage of being an Olympic sport, then maybe there's even another opportunity for the kids to do. It doesn't always have to be soccer or ice hockey here, but let them have fun. It's a sport that's easy to learn, inexpensive, and you can enjoy it.
Let's say that the sport does grow in Portugal. Do you fear that your legitimacy as the head of the Portuguese Ball Hockey Federation or Association, you think that will become an issue in the future if the sport grows? Did you think about that?
If we do things right, it would never be that, because our goal is to have it grow. Like we've had this discussion early on. Is like at some point we will get replaced. It's not going to be Danny, and it's not going to be Dave. It's not going to be. It'll be somebody else. It'll be our kids. It'll be someone else's kids that are going to be a part of the program today that will do that. So we're not fearing that. We just want to make sure that we take it as best we can to as far as we can, and ultimately we're going to need help from someone else to teach us the next level. Like, we're not the specialists. We're not. I don't know anything about going to find funding in the government. I may need someone else to help us with that, and then that becomes part of our team, and then we grow from that, and eventually we'll get voted out. Somebody
it's the reality of handling situations like this, right? You just want to put it in the best situation as possible and let the rest take care of itself, right? Exactly. If we get replaced, we get replaced.
That's beautiful.
But we did our job, right?
No, I think it's a right approach, and that's a great answer, to be honest. And it's the love of the sport. And I think that what you guys are doing is just really unique and unbelievable. Unique. I know you said there's other countries that use the same method that you're using players from abroad, but it's interesting that you're born here. Most of your players probably were born here, but you still have that connection to Portugal, and you still want to represent the same way as if you were, because you are true Portuguese, as if you lived there.
Well, we grew up in homes where we see these shirts everywhere we go.
You gotta carry it.
Our parents are watching Portuguese soccer on satellite, and their passion. Like my dad is a sporting fan, grew up a fan. I remember coming home when I think it was the '94 World Cup or something like that, and he was late at night. He's still watching games because the games are in Japan or something. Like, what are you doing? It's 2:00 in the morning. So I gotta watch soccer. Right? Okay.
Passion.
But that's something that resonates with all of us, right? Because that's the same. You see that all the time, and the success of the Seleção was also kind of really put that pride out. And we wear our uniforms, and people right away are like, "Hey, there's an actual Portugal team." So we get a lot of questions. Like I said, our social media has been really good. We're getting typically about 8,000 views on and before, I think a year ago, we were probably seeing 100 or 200, and now we're seeing 8,000 views every time. So we're visible, and we're trying to communicate with other communities. We joined the Capo specifically so that we would be able to be a part of those communities, have conversations, understand how we can grow some more. Recruit their children to come play, and also recruit their expertise. Like we've had conversations with Portugal Fest. They grew in the course of 3 years. They went from a small little startup to a full-fledged festival in Mississauga, and they grew really quickly. Then they had a little bit of a pause, and they're doing the same thing. So kind of like us, but the fact that they were able to recognize that and know what their growth was, and that they were going too fast. Having those types of people in our sphere of influence and people that we can learn from, that's only going to help us in some fashion. So as we learn, we're not going to do everything right. There's no chance that's going to be right. We only have so many things we've learned. They didn't teach me in school that I was going to have to run a sports organization and we're going to be traveling internationally. You kind of find things out, but we do the best we can. And I think luckily for us, we've got a group of people within our organization. There's an executive that has about 6 or 7 of us that are really passionate about it, and we kind of lean on each other, even though that there's some tough times that come with that. It's an important aspect to have people you can lean on. Not all of us are going to have great days.
Definitely got to be surrounded by some good people to keep this going. It's a lot of time and effort that we put into this.
Absolutely.
Nobody's getting paid. It's a volunteer time, and to organize a team to travel, you're talking about 25 players, 5 other coaches and management groups, and your trainer and so on. So that's 30 people. You got to find plane, a place to reside. You got to worry about food, travel, all that stuff while you're there. So in terms of expenses, you got to prepare for that. We got to go raise funds to kind of lower our costs, because right now today players are paying for a lot of that. Ideally, if we had sponsors that were willing to put their logo on our crest or on our jerseys and our bags and that kind of stuff, it'll obviously help us. And at the same time, they're going to be seen worldwide on some YouTube channels and so forth, and in whatever events that we do, podcasts or interviews, their logo will be there as well. So if you're out there looking to spend some money, we're happy to take some.
We're here.
Hopefully this podcast can increase that that idea that you do need. And also I wanted to take the opportunity to thank Jamie and Nora Catambas for providing the space for us today, and to say that they're also a great medium for you guys to promote your stuff, and I'm sure they'll do that as well, right, Jamie? He's behind the camera there. I'm pretty sure they will. You spoke a little bit, David, about where your players come from. You mentioned a few places. You said some countries from Europe as well.
Yeah.
So 2 questions for you, and for either of you. Where do your players come from, and what is the eligibility for them to be part of the team?
Well, a lot of our players are established in North America for the most part, Canada and the USA, right? But we are getting a lot of new faces coming from Switzerland, other parts of Europe that are more interested in getting part of the program, and that's always very promising for us to hear about and partake in.
And
Yeah,
so do they have to be Portuguese citizens to be part of it?
So part of the eligibility is that they have to have either they have to be a Portuguese citizen, born there, or they can be have a parent or grandparent. So as long as we can show the hierarchy, so I'd have to have a birth certificate from the grandparent or the parent, and then that's considered okay. And that's how we establish. So we used to have a limited amount of cards, but the ISBHF has allowed for more players, which now opens up our pool. So now we can get more players that aren't necessarily citizens today. And just to get a citizenship, it takes about 2 years right now here in Toronto. So it's not an easy process. Luckily, the ISBHF has recognized that and said, hey, you know what? Let's make it a little bit easier for them. We'll allow anyone that has heritage, and that's kind of what's given us the opportunity to grow. So
as a federation or as an association, you spend most of your time organizing, because I'm assuming the World Cup is every 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, is it?
Each age group is every 2 years, and then there's different age groups. So essentially, we have 2 teams going every year.
Okay, and so that's my question is since you have people from all over the world, how do you manage to have them all together practicing for these events?
Well, this is where the commitment to the program and playing is a huge factor. A lot of these players, when we do have scheduled practices, they do make the effort and come. If it's being overseas or taking a train from Montreal or driving, they're there and they're participating.
Oh, wow. And they come from Switzerland here to practice with you guys?
We had guys from Massachusetts, so coming out of Boston and that area, and they're driving 8 hours to spend the weekend. So we know that they're coming. We'll schedule 2 practices in that particular weekend, make it a more of an event. We'll plan for making sure we take them out and hang out with them as a group, so we've got that community and friendships building within the team. And it really takes that commitment, and guys are willing to make that drive. It's great. Sometimes in like the Switzerland version, we already know the player because we can see their stats. We've watched them on YouTube or whatever, so we know that player can fit in. If we've got a spot, we'll say, hey, it's available, come, and they'll come to a tournament, and now we know who he is, and from that point on, we will always recognize him as another body that we can utilize whenever we go. And if we end up going to Europe next year, hey, that's a shorter trip for him. Yep. easy for him to come to, while for us it'll be a little longer, obviously.
Oh, so I'm listening to you, and I'm just picturing in my head how expensive this whole venture is.
Oh, it's expensive.
And between traveling and the facility rentals and equipment, how do you guys manage to fund all this?
This comes a lot from the players. Let's be open and honest here. A lot of the funding that comes in is from the players' cost. We do get a little bit of help from the community, which we're very appreciative for. But a lot of our, fundraising comes from events, golf tournaments that we've done, dinner and dance parties, stuff like that. If Dave wants to chime in on some other things.
Yeah, now we sell apparel and all of that. So every little bit will help. But the cost of flying to Europe is going to be $1,800 to $2,000 per person. You're staying overnight in a hotel for a week. There's another $1,000. So you're looking at $3,500 to $4,000 is the typical cost for a player to go. And in whatever way we can reduce that, whether it's through our fundraising, whether it's through donations, whether it's through selling of apparel, everything helps us knock that number down a little bit. But for the most part, you're looking at the player themselves, because their passion, the want of representing, they're the ones that are paying for that, which we're grateful for, because there's players that have done this for years on end. We've had players that have played in our program now for 20 years. And so if you're committing to that kind of a commitment every year, a few $1,000s are being spent just to go play hockey. Pretty neat. You gotta love that passion, but at the same time, it's a tough way to go. Tough way to explain to your parents and your wife, hey, I'm gonna be away come play hockey for a couple $1,000s.
Give away $4,000 too.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's great, guys. That's great. So the PBHA basically has 2 lives. one before the pandemic, before 2019, and one after, which you guys are responsible for. Since 2023. So I want to focus on that a little bit. And when you came in, you didn't just come in to say, okay, so we're going to do the same thing that was done before. No, you actually upped it. You implemented the Legends program. You implemented the Masters program, and now we're talking about a youth program. I know it's a big question, but let's go in parts. First, tell me about how it came about that you guys got involved in this, and how did you decide that you wanted to revive the PBHA?
Oh, he's the reviver.
I'll answer the little first part of this. No, I just I saw a lot of missed opportunity. I saw a space that needed some help, and I saw a lot of talent that we can possibly do something big here. So I just went all in with it, started connecting with a lot of the old faces, people that can help me, a lot of old players, just trying to sell them the dream of, hey, we can do something special here. Let's do it for our parents, and let's do it for the future of the program. So it all started taking a chance, doing it that way, and here we are today. But social media it's been a massive help.
And were any of you part of that previous program?
I've been part of the program since 2017. That was my first World Championships as a player. But I've always, fell in love with the game and the passion behind it and the people that were working behind the scenes doing it. And then, 10 years later, here I am being the head of the association, right? Yeah. So yeah, it's been a whirlwind, but.
How did you get involved, David?
So I was actually one of the Legends players in Edmonton. That's how it all started. And then
are you from Edmonton yourself?
No, I'm actually from Toronto.
So in Edmonton.
In Edmonton, we played the World Championships for Legends. And while we were there was an issue with one of our games where there was a missed call and all this other stuff happened. So I kind of jumped in and started writing the appeals and so forth, and I think Danny said like, "Hey, okay, he seems to be pretty good at this," and
I can use him.
And that became the conversation. So then he said, "Hey, would you be willing to be the GM for our Masters team that's heading to Bermuda?" And I said, "Okay, if we do that, but if we're going to do that, we need to change what's happening today because it was Danny and Santiago, who was essentially our treasurer. So there was really two people. So we need to have." All these businesses, job descriptions have to be done. We need to create an executive. We need to do all this because I know what will happen is there'll be little rumors and, they're taking money. They're not doing anything right. They don't know what they're doing, which is typical for any business or any type of world that's going on. So we put in those things in place. We actually have an executive. We have a separate treasurer and so forth. So none of that, there's no way of taking money. You can't because there's limits. Any money that goes through our systems goes directly to our bank. There's nobody that has to move anything. So there's no way of that being an issue. The other stuff is we document everything. So now we've got monthly trackers, which we meet as an executive. And then we open that up to the executives to be a part of everything. So we've got not just the two of us. There's, like I said before, 7 of us that are really involved in every aspect. And there's no way it would work if we didn't have extra bodies and being able to help us out. Because, again, we're not professionals at anything that we're doing. We have to figure it out. We get the help from wherever we can. And that assistance has been instrumental in us being able to grow because then we can concentrate on other things.
On different parts of what we need to be putting focus on, for sure.
Are you a regular corporation or are you a non-profit?
We're not for profit.
Okay, good. Let's talk a little bit about, like you talk about Legends, you talk about Masters. Explain what that is. So you have a regular team, I guess, that's...
so everything's based on age groups.
So explain to us what that means, because I myself am a bit confused as well. So just to understand what that entails.
Well, with obviously with age, you have your prime, and then you start to downfall.
So your prime would be just the regular national team.
The open team.
So the open team is the team that actually represents.
Our open team
16
is our
and over, basically.
Our open team is our A side of the program, which it varies from kids that are 16 years old all the way to maybe even 35 if you can still play at that level.
That's teams that go to that World Cup. That if you win, you are a world champion.
You're established as the world champions of the world for 2 years, and you got those bragging rights.
Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, and then it falls off after that. We got the Masters program, which is a lot of guys that are 35 years old, so 45 years old that are still playing the game, and they're very competitive also. And that's a big tournament at that age level to can be competed in.
Is there a world championship for that as well?
All of them have a world championship.
All age groups and categories have a world championships pedigree on it. And then we got our Legends program that are still thriving at 45 years old. I don't know how these gentlemen are still playing. But, you know, without them playing, it hurts us, right? So the more people that are playing the sport, the more it grows.
Absolutely. And is this new to 2023, sorry, or did the Legends and the Masters exist before the pandemic?
We didn't have it on our roster of teams, no. So
No.
that was the first time they competed. The players have always existed in league play. There are those divisions, but it was the first time we assembled a Masters team and a Legends team, and the Masters team.
So you said league play. So I'm assuming most of your players obviously play in the league here and even in Europe, wherever they come from in the States. Okay, so and how do you select them? How do you select? Is there a selection or whoever is available? How does that work?
Well, it's a lot of word of mouth, but it's also a lot of us putting time around the rinks. If you're not at the rinks, you're connecting with them on social media. If you're not connecting with them on social media, it's like I said, word of mouth between past and current players.
We do have tryouts and all that.
Yeah.
That still is part of the process, but a lot of the players we already recognize because we've had them in league play. Where it's out of town player, then we would look on if it's online, if we can do some YouTube stuff, if we've got eyes that are going. So we're going to different nationals in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be in New Brunswick where they have a youth nationals, and there are kids that we've communicated with from other provinces that'll be there. So I'll have an opportunity to see them live. I can have a conversation with them and their parents, and maybe that becomes a kid that now comes into our open program within the next year or two, and maybe they're the ones going to Slovakia with our guys. So that could be a real possibility. But
sounds like a big job, man. Honestly, you guys need a CEO, somebody paid to run this. Honestly, because honestly, I know you're all volunteers, but what I'm saying is like this is so amazing what you guys are doing on a volunteer basis. I'm amazed just listening to you guys talk about this and how much work it is to run a national. Like it's a national team. I'm sure you want the best of the best to represent you, and then the work that you guys do is unbelievable. And you talk about and now you're not busy enough, and so you want to be busier because now you're talking about youth teams as well. So a youth program. Can you talk a little bit about that and how do you plan to implement? Where is it going to be just a Toronto area thing, and what are your objectives with it?
Dave, you want to?
Yeah. So for now, excuse me, it would probably be more of a Toronto thing, simply because logistically that's easier for us. But the reality is we want to find as many young kids. So we've approached our league and asked if they'd be interested in us doing a learn to play, even if it's not Portuguese children, because at least we're developing the game. And I think the fact that other kids are going to be wearing something that says Portugal Ball Hockey is going to bring some inquiries regardless. So I think that's the way it builds. And for us, our open team will always need an influx of players. And the younger we can get them started, that mentality, the program, and they're starting to understand, I think they end up being our core team, because eventually we all age. The guys that are in Masters and Legends today are going to end up being our coaches and our assistant coaches for those teams over time. So they will have had the experience, but now they're going to teach the kids that are behind them. So that whole group will continue to grow, and if we've got that influx of youth, then we continue to grow the program, and that's ultimately how it'll stay strong. If we don't have kids coming in, eventually we're going to age out.
Yeah,
of
and
course.
we don't want to age out. So we're going to continue to look for that younger group. And Daddy's been really good with the social media stuff. He's even reached out to professional players in the NHL. Hey, you've got Portuguese-descent. Have a conversation. And then the funny thing is they respond. And they're like, hey, that sounds great. I'd love to come meet you guys. Let's take a picture. That kind of stuff, We're still waiting for John Tavares to respond.
John Tavares, if you're watching.
Anytime you want to respond would be great. But everyone else that we try to reach out. And it's not just even professional players. We're trying to reach into community. Like tonight we're going to go see
Mike Rita.
I'll be there as well.
Yeah, well,
there you go.
So I will be there.
We'll see you tonight. But we're going to go see him. We're going to bring him a jersey with his name on it and say hello, and hopefully there's a little bit of a cross relationship that we can build, and between the two of us, and again spreads the word for both him and for us, and that's all we can do is continue to be present, and ideally people start to recognize like these guys are putting in the effort. I'd like to, at the very least, I'm interested. Let's have a conversation. That's all we want.
So for parents who are watching, how expensive is it to play ball hockey? Is it like similar to soccer in terms of equipment? What do you need?
I think it's a little less than soccer and way less than ice hockey. That's why the sport of ball hockey is a sport that I recommend kids to start playing early at, and parents to sign up your kids.
Yeah, those kids that are playing soccer today, when they're not in soccer season, go play ball hockey, because you're still getting all the physical running that you need. You're learning how to play the game. You're still learning positions and all that stuff. So it can work.
So you don't wear any padding or anything like that, or do you?
There is
helmet and gloves are the necessity.
Elbow pads.
elbow pads if you want, but you don't necessarily need all that stuff. It costs you the hockey stick and whatever you wear, a helmet and some gloves. So, a couple $100 and you're ready to play. And as you learn and get more competitive, you'll decide you want more equipment because the talent level goes a little higher, the ball comes a little harder.
It's fairly affordable for sure. I wouldn't be scared to register your kid for sure.
Beautiful. And then at the end, we'll provide your contacts as well, so people can contact you. In terms of you're talking about the youth and building a program. I'm sure you have plans for the future. Sounds like you guys are really organized and you're really into this. So, are you guys looking ahead to 5-10 years from now? How do you see the Portuguese Ball Hockey Association?
In 5 years to 10 years, ideally we are already in Portugal. Ideally we've got a relationship with the government in Portugal. It would be great if we would have paying positions within the organization when it's all said and done. I'd love that we were in the conversations about being at the Olympics would be one hell of a trip, but that isn't going to lie directly on us. That's going to require a whole bunch of other teams doing what we're doing. And I know that not necessarily they're all attempting it in the same fashion. Like, it's funny because we know the other organizations, we communicate with them all the time, and so we know what they're doing, they know what we're doing. But I'm not sure that anyone is putting in the amount of effort that we have in the last couple of years, and I think that everyone's starting to recognize, hey, what they're doing is different. They're really going out there, they're trying. Again, not everything was going to be successful, but if we've done our jobs properly, and it probably means we're no longer part of the organization, but there's a new CEO or whatever, and now they're at a different level than we left it, and ideally they're branching out into different cities, different countries, and running their own leagues. Like, if we could get a Portugal Ball Hockey League in Portugal, where those players have a place to go to, they're going to go from there, they're going to graduate to their own national championships, take that national, and now you're going to a world championships, then that would have been the ultimate goal for all of us, I think.
I think we just wanted to prepare ourselves as best as possible within where we're living now today. That way, when that time does come to present the sport of ball hockey to Portugal, we will be ready, and we will be committed, and they'll have our full commitment to doing so. That's part of this whole program and process, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and we've got some balls in the air for that. Like, we've had some folks specifically out of Ottawa that have offered to say, hey, if you guys go to Portugal, we'll provide you with some equipment and so on. So the Ottawa Senators, their affiliations. So there's there's a whole bunch of balls in the air, and we're trying to catch them and make sure we give them to the right person, and vice versa. So ideally, we're in a much better place, and maybe we're watching on the sidelines, or maybe we're still a part of it. We don't know, but hopefully
it's the beauty of it all.
Yeah, well, I mean, one step at a time. I think you guys are doing great work. We're almost done. I just wanted to ask you about language, because obviously, being Portuguese, I know most, like I said, it's not easy being born here and then having, and speaking Portuguese fluently. But I just wanted to ask, I guess people are curious. I'm curious to see to know if you guys do attempt to speak Portuguese within the team, if that gives an advantage over the other teams.
On the floor, we actually do speak, believe it or not. It surely is an advantage, because, like you said, the other teams don't know what you're talking about. For the most part, we do speak on the floor, and a little bit, behind the scenes with interviews if we are asked to do so.
Yeah, we're really good at the swear words.
We should have done it in Portuguese.
We're really good at the swear words, if that's any consolation. But no, I think we all speak at home with our parents and grandparents. So there's always a bit of it. Now, obviously, a lot of us have spent 20, 30, 40 years here. You've lost a lot of that. But for the most part, there's always some sort of joke. There's always some kidding around from wherever you are. Everybody, if you're a Suryan, if you're whatever.
You might need subtitles.
There's always sometimes you're like, what the hell did you just say? But whatever. It's all good. I think for the most part, we just have fun, and we all consider ourselves as Portuguese regardless. Whether we're excellent at speaking Portuguese or not, it's irrelevant. I think we just have fun with it.
Where's the next World Cup?
Slovakia for the Open Men's. They haven't announced the Masters, but next year will be Masters and Open.
Yeah, two big tournaments next year.
And then the year after it'll be Legends again. So it goes every 2 years, those two tournaments. So ideally we have two teams next year, and a team in 28 for the Legends have an opportunity.
Do you usually get a few people coming out? I'm sure not a lot, because it's hard to travel, but do people, like, even those who are not from here, but if they hear about it, do you ever get any locals, Portuguese locals to come
we
out?
go look for those locals. So when they went to Switzerland, they went to an actual Portuguese club.
They hosted us.
They hosted them in the whole bit. We did the same in Bermuda. We actually had the Casa dos Açores is where we were hosted. That was where our change room area was in.
Yeah.
So they were really good to us. They spent a lot of time making sure we were happy. And then they invited Vasco da Gama Club. So I think one of our games had about 200 people, and most of it was all the Portuguese clubs that were there with us. And then anywhere we travel, we were looking for that club. So even going to Bermuda, the first thing we said, okay, let's go find a Portuguese club to go visit. And we try to do that when we're traveling, and we're trying to do that here by joining a capo and being in with all those clubs and now seeing what they're doing. And I'm sure we're going to start having conversations with them about maybe hosting our galas or maybe being a part of our, all the folklore groups that exist. Why don't you come to our gala? We'd love to have you perform, that kind of stuff. So that little bridge is going to be an important aspect going forward for us.
Absolutely, yeah.
And what time of the year is it usually at, the World Cup?
Summertime. Our first tournament for the open group is usually around June. And then the Legends or Masters is later on in the year.
So for those who are watching and listening, community members, potential sponsors, what is your message to them?
I think our message is that we'd really love to grow the game, and we'd love for you to be a part of that, whether it's your children having the ability to come play for us, even yourselves for that matter, because we do have that large age group. For sponsors to be a part of something that's growing, to be something that's visible. Again, our social media's got some little pull now. I think that anybody that has that pride and wants to see that national growth, they're going to be seen. Because we are making every effort to be visible, not just here, but across the world. We continue to communicate with everyone. We want everyone to have that same communication with us and let us know what we're doing well, what we're not doing well. We're open to suggestions. We obviously need some help in growing. Like I said before, we don't know everything, and we're never going to get everything correct. But I'd love to have the ability to bring in some of the community partners that are out there today, being a part of our executive to help us learn. Right? If somebody like who does Portugal Fest would be able to say, "Hey, this is how you're going to grow your sponsorship packages. This is how you can present it," and so forth. So that would be huge for us. Having a lawyer that can say, "Hey, this is a contract. This is what it looks like. This is how you protect yourselves." Everyone can help in some fashion. It's just about let's have the conversation, and I think we can figure something out between the groups. And wherever we can help, we're happy to help, and we'll participate as much as we can.
Yeah, it's important for the community to know that we're willing to help them too, right? It's not just we're asking for their help. They have events that they want to see us at and maybe need our help, we're willing to do that too, and vice versa.
How can they contact you, Danny? The organization.
Yeah, no, if you follow us on Instagram, we're at Portugal Ball Hockey, and it's very easy to follow us there. If you want email, it's info@portugalballhockeyassociation.com. Those are the two channels to definitely contact us at, and we'll get you
We'll get you our link tree, which has connection to everything. So if they want to purchase things from it, just by going to the link tree, it'll take you to all the different links to our store, to our actual registration for players, to whatever events are happening. Everything is on our link tree, so easy access. It's Linktree, Team Portugal.
It's all connected, yeah.
Beautiful. Well, I want to thank you guys for all that you do, and for allowing us to promote what you do as well, and for representing Portugal so well as you've done.
That's right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having us.
And thank you to Jamie and Nora Catamos for providing the space. And thank you for watching and listening to the LusoCanada Podcast. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to LusoCanada Podcast. Join us next time as we continue writing history.